dear friends of the vinyl community. Robert with Block's Sonic Wafers, and I'm here to attempt the experimental vinyl tag put on by Motorik 247. And I had to think about this one for a while, and I don't know if it's allowed, but I'm going to have to do mixed formats. And I've seen a lot of people have put together videos for this particular tag. So I hope I don't repeat a whole lot of stuff here that has been shown already. Let's jump right into it. The very first posit is an album with improvisational playing, and I'm going to go with Heavy Construction, King Crimson. The entire third CD in this set is all improvised tunes. There's 13 of them, and one of my favorites is The Deception of the Thrush, which features Trey Gunn in the final segment of the tune, improvising on the war guitar. Beautiful melody, and there's so many versions of that out there available that it's mind-numbing. But if you're not familiar, check out The Deception of the Thrush. It starts out with Robert Fripp doing a little bit of his soundscape stuff, and it eventually ends up with Trey Gunn at the end doing a solo. Basically in concert, this was the opportunity for Adrian Belew to leave the stage and take a break or whatever he needs to do, while you've got Pat Mastelotto, Robert Fripp, and Trey Gunn left behind to take care of this. So anyway, there's that, and Space Groove. You know, there was a lot of King Crimson breakout projects, and all of them were pretty much improvisation. And I'm pretty sure this has got to be one of them. This is considered Project 2. Okay, so that was number 1. An album featuring the Moog synthesizer, or Moog synthesizer. I'm sure this has probably been shown. Arguably to be considered the first use of the Moog or Moog synthesizer in a pop record. Daily Nightly by the Monkees. And oddly enough, the Moog synthesizer in this song was played by the drummer, Mickey Dolenz. And I know this one's been shown. Walter Carlos, the Sonic Seasonings, now known as Wendy Carlos. And just to be sure, Kitaro. Now he uses several synthesizers on this record, but it does mention the Mini Moog in particular. Love this album. All right, field recording. I've got a couple, but most interestingly, the Space Project. This was a Record Store Day release. I'm not sure what year, it's been a few years ago. Uh, and it features Porcelain Raft, The Antlers, Mutual Benefit, Anna Meredith, Spiritualized, The Holy Drug Couple, Youth Lagoon, Blues Control, Beach House, Zomes, Zomes, Absolutely Free, Jesu, Benoit and Sergio, and Larry Gus. So there's 745s in here. And if I can read this, the source material for these tracks was originally recorded by the Voyager 1 and Voyager 2 space probes. Audible frequencies such as those made by musical instruments are caused by the compression of air or other gases and cannot propagate in a vacuum such as space. The songs recorded by the Voyager probes aren't sounds in the conventional sense. Rather, they're produced from electromagnetic radiation fluctuations in the magnetosphere of the celestial bodies studied by the Voyager probes. So anyway, I think that counts. This comes with a space-related little poster. Space fiction. And there's 7 singles, each with their own cover. An interesting project. I don't think it was all that popular on Record Store Day of that year, but I grabbed one. The Space Project. And if that weren't enough, just in case, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? You know, there's different definitions of field recordings, and the very first track on this album and in the movie is Poe Lazarus by James Carter and the Prisoners. And James Carter was actually in prison at the time when Alan Lomax came along and convinced him to gather up some of his fellow prisoners and do a work song for Alan Lomax to commit to tape. And that is the recording that is on this album. So it is literally a field recording. So there's that. And this I have shown before. Box set from R. Hooley Records. I believe this was their 20-year compilation. It's 5 CDs. And almost every recording in this box set is a field recording. And here's a picture of Chris Satchowitz. I can't pronounce his last name correctly, probably. That's a picture of him going around the country like Alan Lomax did and recording musicians on their front porch, in their kitchen, out in the yard, wherever that he could convince them to perform for his tape machine. And there are some awesome recordings in here. You've got Rose Maddox, Piano Red, Earl Hooker, Johnny Young, Dale McCoury is on here, Big Mama Thornton is on here, Big Joe Williams, Lightning Hopkins, Fred McDowell, the Cheniers, Zydeco announcer, Reverend Louise Overstreet, Lewis Overstreet, J.E. Manier, Hackleberry Ramblers, and on and on and on. This is a treasure trove of great music recorded on the spot. Drone, we're up to drone. I am going to use my own definition of drone, and this is Godspeed You Black Emperor, which, thanks to Mike at TCAT, this is a new discovery for me, and I consider this to be metal drone. I know Mike just got a copy of this as well as VCLT. I hadn't heard how he thinks about it yet. But to me, this is considered drone. You know, it takes a theme and very slowly explores it. I don't really know how to describe it, actually. Luciferian Towers is the name of this album, and that's my submission for drone. Spoken Void. I did a video not too long ago on the Fire Sign Theater. They are a radio comedy troupe, so it's pretty much all spoken word. Well, actually, they do some music as well. This is How Can You Be in Two Places at Once When You're Not Anywhere at All. I highly recommend that you check out the Fire Sign Theater. They have a bunch of albums to choose from. Give it a chance. Spoken word also, and this album could actually fit into many categories in this list. I have this on vinyl, but it's over in my storage facility. Consequences by Lowell Cream and Kevin Godley. The British comedian Peter Cook does most of the spoken word part of this. But this has got everything. It's experimental from start to finish, for them to stretch out with their own synthesizer invention called the Gizmo. But it does have some sampled sounds from out in the world. Well, I guess you'd have to call field recordings. It's got a little of everything in it, and it is definitely experimental, to my mind. Processed. I don't know if you're familiar with Sufjan Stevens, if that's how you pronounce his first name. Enjoy Your Rabbit. This is very different than anything he has done. You know, generally he's kind of a folky type artist. But this is electronica. I'm going to put a little sample probably at the beginning of this video. But this goes everywhere in electronica. It's got some drone. It's got a couple of ladies guesting on here where he's processed their voices, and that's why I'm putting it in this category. It's his interpretation of the Chinese zodiac. So you've got the year of the asthmatic cat, year of the monkey, year of the rat, year of the ox, boar, tiger, snake, sheep, rooster, dragon, rabbit, dog, horse, and year of our Lord. 79 minutes and 10 seconds. A lot of bleeps and bloops and pops and very interesting record. It took me a while to warm up to it, but I have. I recommend you check it out if you like that kind of stuff. Also in the process, the Guitar as Orchestra by Adrian Belew. Frank Zappa once said of Adrian Belew, he's the world's greatest stunt guitarist. So on this particular album, he does all the instruments on guitar, but they sound like other instruments. And speaking of, I am also going to include on here in the improvisational category, which I should have mentioned earlier, a track that I did myself, embarrassingly maybe. And what I did was I used a basic track that was recorded by King Crimson. I hope I don't get Robert Fripp. It was called Shogunai, and it was kind of a tone poem. I used that as a bass, and I improvised on top of it, and I added some borrowed sounds in it. So I hope it'll be enjoyable and not frowned upon. And I'm going to stick it in here just for the fun of it, and I hope you enjoy it. Okay, number 7. The list. I had to go explore the list because I was not familiar, like I've heard many people say. And there was several artists on there. I could show a lot of Frank Zappa. I don't have any vinyl of Captain Beefheart, but I do have The Dust Blows Forward, an anthology. It's a couple of discs. And Ron Geeson with Roger Waters, The Body. So that's the list. No, it's not. I got one more to go. Take care of that later. Toy instrument. This is not an album per se. This is actually a collection of live performances at WKGSR Broadcasts Volume 10. And I'm going to put the track in here. It is by David Bearwald. If you're not familiar with David Bearwald, he was half of the duo known as David and David, who had a hit with their song Welcome to the Boomtown back in the 80s. David Bearwald has had a fairly successful solo career. He got involved in what was known as the Tuesday Night Music Club, and if that sounds familiar, yes, that was Sheryl Crow's first solo record, and David Bearwald was involved in that and wrote or co-wrote a lot of the songs on it.
No one likes us, I don't know why. We may not be perfect, but heaven knows we try. And all around, even our old friends put us down. Let's drop the big one and see what happens. We give them money, but are they grateful? No, they're spiteful and they're hateful. They don't respect us, so let's surprise them. We'll drop the big one and pulverize them. Well, Asia's crowded, Europe's too old, Africa is far too hot, and Canada's too cold, and South America stole our name. Let's drop the big one, there'll be no one left to blame us. Well, we'll save Australia, wouldn't want to hurt no kangaroo. We'll build an all-American amusement park there. They got surfing too. Well, boom goes London, boom Paris. More room for you and more room for me. And every city, the whole world around, will just be another American town. Oh, how peaceful it will be. We'll set everybody free. You wear a Japanese kimono, baby, there'll be Italian shoes for me. They all hate us anyhow. So let's drop the big one now. Let's drop the big one now.
So the Tuesday Night Music Club was something started by Bill Bottrell. He had a studio And so these artists started gathering there for Tuesday nights to make some music. And the musicians involved in that were, of course, David Barrowald, Will Sexton, Mike Thompson, Nick DiVirgilio, David Catay. The list goes on. Jewel was involved, of course. Bill Bottrell was involved. Larry Klein, Sheryl Crow, Dylan O'Brien, Lenny Castro, Kevin Gilbert, Dan Schwartz, David Torn, Jim Keltner, and quite a few other folks, which resulted in a lot of songs that were recorded and never released until David Barrowald issued a very limited run of A Fine Mess by the NFU, which actually stands for the New Folk Underground. This was released in a limited edition of 500. This is number 85. It is autographed. They did a second run of this. I don't know if it's still available, but there's some really good stuff on here that otherwise never would have been released. He reworked some of these songs and put a CD out called Here Comes the New Folk Underground. Check that out if you get a chance. But anyway, Mike Thompson, who I just mentioned, plays the toy piano on this track, which is Political Science by Randy Newman, performed by David Barrowald and Mike Thompson live on KGSR. That will wind up my experimental tag. I hope you've enjoyed it. I know it's went kind of long. So I hope you're having a great Sunday, and step on over to the platter and slap something on there and enjoy some good Sunday tunes. So this is Block out till next time.
Wait a minute. Didn't I say that line on the other side of the record? Where am I? I'd better check. Who is now? It's okay, they're speaking Chinese.